leader of an organization, how are you not close with the stars of the organization? And the dilemma right now in the WNBA is that the star players, the Asias, the Stewies, the Sabrinas, the Caitlin Clarks, they don't have a good enough relationship with the leader. The Nafisas, they don't have a good enough relationship with Cathy Engelbert. She came in and she wants all the credit for everything, but there's not enough communication between the leader and between the players. And now you got to revolt. Now everybody in the W is like, hold on, we want you up out of there. But I think the best thing I heard is, how can you negotiate if you don't communicate? And the dilemma is there's not even a negotiation, a quality negotiation right now between the players and between the W, because there's not quality communication right now between the players and between the executives for the W.
Adam Silver finally delivered what Fever fans have demanded for months. Cathy Engelbert is out. Yes, the same commissioner who once claimed Caitlin Clark should be grateful just got tossed aside like yesterday's news. The league has officially been shaken to its core. But before diving into the chaos, here's the real question. Did this move come far too late?
You should resign. You need to resign. Period. Reason I say that, doggy, is because when a player, any player, but especially one of that magnitude, attacks you publicly like that, that weak-ass statement Commissioner Engelbert gave is not good enough. And I'm going to say it. It was a weak-ass statement. Could you imagine somebody directing comments and criticisms at you, taking conversations they've had with you directly and telling the world what you said? And did you see that statement Commissioner Engelbert gave? She basically provided no defense of herself. I don't have the statement right directly in front of me, y'all. But
Mischaracterization.
A mischaracterization. I'm disheartened at the mischaracterization. What?
So here it is. Cathy Engelbert is out, fired, booted, dumped from her office, and into unemployment. All because she couldn't keep quiet when it came to Caitlin Clark.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So of course they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a US platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
This is the same commissioner who thought telling Caitlin Clark she should be on her knees thanking the league was a smart move. The same commissioner who turned a blind eye while Alyssa Thomas threw elbows, refs swallowed whistles, and fans grew furious over the product. Well, the NBA finally said enough. Adam Silver, the boss of bosses, stepped in and pulled the trigger. And let's be real, it was long overdue. When you got stars like Nafisa Collier blasting you publicly, Sophie Cunningham calling you delusional, Lexi Hull backing the revolt, and a fan base threatening to boycott, there's no saving your job. So let's rewind for a moment.
Thank you all for your time today. I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates.
Remember the spark that lit this fire? Nafisa sat in her exit interview and unloaded on Cathy Engelbert. She called WNBA leadership the worst in professional sports, accusing Engelbert of brushing off injuries, ignoring players, and pretending the officiating wasn't a disaster. Then came the dagger. Engelbert allegedly told her Caitlin Clark should be grateful the WNBA even exists, because without it, she'd supposedly have nothing at all.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $60 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them.
Really, Cathy? Caitlin Clark was packing arenas back in college. She had major sponsors lined up before leaving Iowa and pulled TV numbers that outdrew some WNBA playoff games. And your big idea is to say she should be grateful? That's like telling Taylor Swift she owes her career to a karaoke bar for giving her a mic in the first place.
Lucky she's got a $16 million deal because of the platform the WNBA gave her. It is the single dumbest thing ever said by a sports commissioner in American sports.
It's absurd. And that arrogance is exactly why Adam Silver had no choice. Because here's the truth. Caitlin Clark saved the WNBA from sliding back into irrelevance. She boosted attendance, spiked TV ratings, brought in sponsorships, and made casual fans care about women's basketball in ways nobody had seen before. She wasn't just another rookie. She was a phenomenon, a cultural force. And instead of protecting that, instead of building her up as the centerpiece of the league's future, Cathy Engelbert treated her like a nuisance. Clark was hacked relentlessly, shoved to the floor, hammered on drives, and the refs swallowed their whistles. When coaches or teammates dared complain, they got fined. Even Fever head coach Stephanie White was punished for simply agreeing with Cheryl Reeves' criticisms. That's how bad it got. Coaches silenced, players silenced, and fans dismissed as toxic just for pointing out the obvious that S.O. Adam Silver stepped in. Make no mistake, this isn't only about Clark. It's about the WNBA spiraling under Engelbert's leadership. She couldn't connect with players, couldn't manage the referees, and couldn't stop running the league like a corporate boardroom instead of a sports league that lets pause on the referees for a second. Fans screamed all season about inconsistency. Players screamed all season about the physicality. And Engelbert's answer? We have the best refs in the world. Excuse me? The best in the world? These were the same refs who couldn't recognize a flagrant foul if someone was body slammed through the scorer's table. Even Becky Hammon, one of the league's most respected coaches, admitted it. If the NBA had officiating this inconsistent, players would be throwing punches every night. But in the WNBA, it was brushed off as drama. Drama might look good in a headline, but it's poison for the product. Drama is great until your brightest star is lying on the floor, holding her ribs. Drama is great until top players like Collier are sidelined with ankle injuries. Drama is great until fans stop showing up and ratings dip outside of Clark's games. And that's exactly what happened. Attendance stayed flat in non-Fever arenas. Ratings slumped when Clark wasn't involved. Yet Engelbert kept smiling, kept saying everything was fine. It wasn't fine. And that's why Silver finally pulled the trigger. The WNBA had been given a golden goose in Clark, and instead of protecting it, Engelbert roasted it over an open fire. Now, let's talk timing. Some say Silver waited too long. Others say he acted fast. The truth is, he acted when the league was on the brink of implosion. You can't have multiple players blasting your commissioner on camera. You can't have MVPs and All-Stars labeling league leadership negligent. And you definitely can't have Clark's fan base threatening to tune out. That's not just embarrassing, it's financial suicide. This firing wasn't just about Engelbert failing. It was about survival. Because the NBA knows exactly what Clark represents. She is their cash cow. She's the reason networks agreed to pay billions in media rights. She's why advertisers suddenly care. She's why arenas filled up again. Without her, the WNBA is back to begging for a Tuesday night slot on ESPN2. And Engelbert had the gall to belittle her. Now she's out of a job. But let's not shower Silver in praise just yet. He didn't suddenly realize Engelbert was incompetent. Players and fans had been screaming it for months. No, Silver acted because money was at risk. Sponsorships were slipping, fans were threatening boycotts, and even rival leagues like Unrivaled were gaining traction. If Clark had ever said, "I'm done," it could have killed the WNBA. Silver couldn't let it get that F.A. Ardukis Engelbert is gone. But the question now is, who replaces her? This isn't just about finding another business executive who can cut deals. The league desperately needs someone who understands basketball, who respects players, and who can rebuild trust. The next commissioner has to make athletes feel valued instead of ignored. They have to treat fans as partners, not problems. And they must fix the officiating mess, because until that's addressed, nothing else matters. That let's circle back to Clark, because everything does. She is at the center of this storm. Her treatment on the court, her dismissal off it, and her importance to the league forced Silver's hand. The irony? Engelbert thought Clark needed the WNBA more than the WNBA needed Clark. Turns out it's the exact opposite. The league needs her, and now it has to prove it values her, or risk losing her altogether. Where does this leave things? A commissioner fired mid-scandal. A fan base furious, but hopeful. A league desperate to salvage its reputation. And Clark, who for the first time this season, might finally feel like the adults in the room are taking her seriously. But don't be fooled. This firing doesn't solve everything. Engelbert left a mountain of problems. Bad officiating, inconsistent discipline, poor communication, a culture of fines instead of accountability. The new commissioner has to flip that script fast, or the WNBA's momentum will evaporate. And here's a detail nobody should ignore. The revolt that triggered this wasn't random. When Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull jumped to back Collier publicly, that was coordinated. The players smelled weakness at the top and pounced. And good for them. Without that public firestorm, Silver might have let Engelbert limp along. Instead, she's out, and the WNBA has been forced into a new era. Here's the blunt truth. Silver didn't fire Engelbert because he suddenly cared about players. He fired her because she embarrassed the league. When you've got Collier, Cunningham, and Hull going viral torching the commissioner, that's a crisis you can't PR your way out of. Silver had to protect the NBA's investment because remember, the WNBA's media rights are tied directly to the NBA's billion-dollar packages. And Engelbert put those deals at risk with her tone-deaf comments about Clark being grateful. You don't insult the golden goose, and Clark isn't just a rookie phenom anymore. She's in her second year as a pro, already the face of the league, whether her peers like it or not. She dragged the Fever into relevance, shattered ratings records, and became the league's central storyline. And how did Engelbert handle that? By dismissing her injuries, dismissing her impact, and treating her like a pawn. That's not leadership. That's sabotage. Collier summed it up best when she exposed Engelbert's mindset. Only losers complain about the refs. Let that sink in. Fever fans, losers. Coaches like white losers. Players hack night after night, losers. That was Engelbert's worldview. And then she doubled down, claiming Clark's endorsements only existed because of the WNBA. Give me a break. Clark had national sponsors before she ever touched a WNBA court. She was the most marketable college athlete since Zion Williamson. She sold out arenas coast to coast. The league needed her, not the other way around. That arrogance, that blindness, is why Engelbert is unemployed today. Silver made one smart move. He didn't let her step down gracefully. He fired her. Made it clear the NBA had lost confidence in her leadership. That's significant because it sends a message to players. Your voices matter when you speak up, and let's be real, this isn't just about Engelbert. It's about a culture that's been broken for years. A league that dismissed legitimate concerns as whining. A commissioner who thought PR spin could cover cracks in the foundation. Players had enough, fans had enough, and Silver finally had to admit the truth. Where do we go from here? That depends on who takes over. If the NBA installs another corporate suit who knows nothing about basketball, the problems will linger. But if they bring in someone who values the athletes, who listens, who fixes the officiating, and restores credibility, the WNBA could explode into the powerhouse it should have been already. One thing is certain. Caitlin Clark forced this change. Her star power, her marketability, and her refusal to quietly endure abuse put the spotlight where it belonged. And now the league's next chapter will be written around her. Because in the end, Engelbert got one thing dead wrong. Clark doesn't owe the WNBA gratitude. The WNBA owes Clark everything.